Good afternoon. As I stand here before you today, I realize that you don't know who I am. I have been here almost every single day since this trial started. I realize that what I am about to share will not change what happened that day, but I hope it will give me some sort of peace and help me continue to heal. The Waukesha Christmas Parade was an event that both of my daughters have been involved in for many years with their dance team. This year, on the day of the parade, it was very cold and windy, so instead of walking alongside the dancers, I decided to take on a new role. I volunteered to sit in the bed of the pickup truck that was leading our dance team. I was filling all the parent volunteer buckets with candy. I had the best view of my daughter the entire time. She was in the front row, dancing her heart out and doing what she loved most. In one split second, all of that happiness ended. Through the parade route at an incredibly high speed, I saw your pickup truck approaching the girls. At that moment, no level of screaming could be heard because of the music playing in the background. The dancers did not see you coming, but I did. It was horrifying. These girls that I have become so close with, flying through the air, losing their shoes, their hats, and their gloves. A sight I will never be able to forget. This is a vision that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I jumped out of the pickup truck so fast, not knowing where my daughter's body had landed. Once I was able to locate her body, I took one look at her, and I thought she was dead. She was not moving. She had blood coming from her head, her ears, her nose, her arms and legs. She was not awake or responding. I was unable to keep my composure. With my shaking hands and through my tears, I somehow managed to call my husband. He had stayed home with our youngest daughter, who was homesick. If she had not been ill that day, she would have been dancing alongside her sister. I tried to explain to my husband what had happened, but honestly, I don't remember much after that. Meanwhile, a man, who I believe was a spectator at the parade, came to my aid as I was trying to explain to my husband over the phone what had happened. This good Samaritan also had to keep me away from my daughter, who was lying lifelessly on the ground. As her mother, all I wanted to do was pick her up and hold her. However, I was unable to because she needed medical attention. All of the injured girls from our team were being triaged right there in the middle of the street. I remember screaming out loud, asking what was taking so long for an ambulance to arrive. In hindsight, I realized it was only minutes, but during that moment, it felt like eternity. Everything just seemed to be moving in slow motion. Samantha was taken to Waukesha Memorial in the first ambulance that was able to get to us. She was later transferred to Children's Hospital because doctors realized that was the best place for her to be at the time, and due to the overwhelming amount of injuries from your reckless and thoughtless behavior, Waukesha Memorial needed more space for other hurt individuals. The other people that you carelessly hit. Thankfully, I was able to ride in the ambulance both times with my daughter, hoping and praying she would survive. Once at Children's Hospital, Samantha was taken for a second set of scans to evaluate what needed to be done. We quickly learned that she needed immediate surgery, where they would do a craniotomy to relieve the pressure from her brain swelling. When she came back from her emergency surgery, I lost it. She was intubated in a medically induced coma, and her head was wrapped in gauze. I just wanted to talk to her to talk to me so badly. I wanted to hear her voice and know that she was okay. At that moment, I would have done anything to switch places with her and take her pain away. Mr. Brooks, how could you possibly do this to someone? I need you to listen to me as I list her injuries. Acute respiratory failure, bradycardia, a skull fracture, multiple skull fractures, 5 fractures in different areas of her face, including the mastoid bone behind her ear, the bones that hold her eye into place, a fractured cheekbone, a brain bleed, an intracranial hemorrhage. Did you hear? The doctors told us that they did not know what the outcome of her injuries would be. They would not give us any false hope. They told us they did not know if she would survive. My husband and I did not know what the rest of her life would look like. If she survived, would she be able to walk? Would she be able to talk? We had no idea what the future would hold for Samantha. Our daughter was in a coma for 2 weeks in the critical intensive care unit at Children's Hospital. They needed to make sure that her brain was healing properly. Those were the hardest 2 weeks of my life. My husband and I lived at Children's Hospital, never leaving her side. We spent every hour of every day watching her body temperatures, her brain pressures, and the clock. We spent Thanksgiving at Children's Hospital, trying to find as much time to spend with our youngest daughter, who was not allowed to see her sister because of COVID restrictions. Weeks later, once medical personnel believed it was safe, she was slowly taken off her sedation meds. That was when her battle took a turn. Samantha is a fighter, and she was not about to let you destroy her life. Samantha had to learn how to swallow food. We spent weeks learning how to talk and walk again. Because of you, Samantha suffered a traumatic brain injury. She was unable to live a 14-year-old teenager's life. We struggle not knowing if or when she will have another seizure. Because of you, my daughter had her most beautiful hair shaved off. After spending 22 days in Children's Hospital, she was finally discharged. Finally being home with both my children was far better than Christmas morning. Even though it's almost been a year since this tragedy, it's still so painful to see her struggling with some everyday life experiences. I consider Samantha a gift. Based on the injuries she sustained from being hit by her vehicle, she should have died that day. But she didn't, and for that, I am so grateful. My heart goes out to those families who were not as fortunate. Since the first day you appeared in this courtroom, you have done nothing but make a mockery of this trial. I sat here every day, listening to you act like this was just a game, and showing no remorse for what you did. I have no forgiveness in my heart for you. You said as a father it hurt because you could not hold your babies, but yet you run over my child like she didn't mean anything. What kind of father does that? Because of you, our lives have been changed forever. Whatever pain you may encounter in prison will only be a fraction of what Samantha endured after this tragedy. Judge, we ask that you give Mr. Brooks the maximum sentence for each count without the chance of parole. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.